Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Mazazoke here speaking to us. Sorry, I had this broadcast scheduled for yesterday, but unfortunately, as they say, that which was bigger than uh, cricket came into the cricket hole. Then the cricket took flight. As we say in Igbo, ihe ka nte bakwute nte n'ọnụ, nte wee mee nwa awọ jump. Now, I thank you for joining me this evening. As usual, I'm going to do some analysis this evening. I hope you would enjoy it, and we'll see how it goes. So, without further ado, the analysis I'm going to do this evening, as can see from my screen, is going to be anchored on in an interview by Ruben Abati and the Abaka Bigi, Abaka Jigi Jigi, Abaka Bigi Bigi. That is Mike Ozokome, SAN. And the conversation this evening, as you know, as it will be centered on, again, the reason why I keep hammering on this. The Asaba Declaration. Mike Ezekome made a very brilliant argument. You know, when you see people that have got their brains intact, when they argue, you basically appreciate that. So many of you who probably have watched this interview, I believe you can stick around and see the angle that I will be either agreeing or disagreeing with some of the things he said. It's going to be roughly an hour. Now, this is in his words, which I found very, very interesting. In his own analogy, he said that the Southern Governors Declaration equals Aburi Accord. That is the content of that. And after listening to him, I had to go back and I listened, or rather, I looked at it again with my third eye and I began to see the things probably I didn't see before from that declaration. Hence, the need for you and I and everybody to give the Asaba Declaration the needed support. Okay, so someone is saying no audio here, no audio. Let's try. What's happening? No audio. People, what's happening? Where's my microphone? Can you hold on? What's gone wrong here? Can you confirm if you can hear me, please? Can you confirm that you can hear me loud and clear? If you can hear me loud and clear, please do confirm. Where's my audio? What's wrong? These people no go kill me, as they say in Nigerian parlance. Kilo happen. Did anybody disable my? Can you hear me? Hold on. Oh, okay, you can hear me loud and clear. Oh, sorry then. I think so. Oh, there. Someone just put me off now. Someone said no volume. Lord Michael. Lord Michael, why now? Oh, why? Lord Michael, I think I'm using Abba phone and you must be using a Chinese phone. You know, I need to speak to that your phone. So maybe your phone will now be fixed. So sorry about that. Now that I know everyone is watching me. Okay, loud and clear. So before we begin, let's play us the video that's going to form the basis for our conversation today. And let's bring in my good professor that makes us laugh.
Is that Gandhi said, whatever you do for me without me is against me. Ask all those, whatever, 13, 15 governors that met in that hotel. Was there any of the Fulani leaders consulted? Any of the Fulani leaders consulted? So they're there making laws for people that they have not consulted. This is a problem with government. Disconnected, out of touch with realities of people. You must sit down and talk with people you are making laws for. None of that those governors have sat down with Fulani leaders in wherever they are and tell them what we're planning to do, or what we're going to do, or what alternatives are there. And then they're sitting down there and making laws.
All right.
Be careful.
So this is the man that likes to threaten the whole southern Nigeria. You hear that? He says, be careful. Be careful, for you made laws to protect yourself. Be careful that you made laws to say that you no longer want destructions in your farmlands. Be careful that you said enough of stupidity, enough of madness, that these things shall stop. Be careful. Be careful, he said. But without further ado, let me quickly bring in my good friend and brother, and Chief Mike Ozokome, to please now take charge and let us start the analysis.
Sure, Dr. Ozokome, the Akpakpa Vigi of Edo State.
I like that name, the Akpakpa Vigi. Edo people, my Edo people now do well. Happy Man, don't you know that I can speak Chinese? See, look at what Happy Man wrote. It says, so that's what you wrote. And I'm going to charge to make that translation. I'm going to charge money. But let's continue.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ruben Abati, of Edo Land. Edo Land comprises of Edo State, up to parts of Ondo, up to parts of Ughelil side, up to Onitsha, up to Eko, up to Republic of Benin.
Okay, I stand corrected.
So I'm the generalissimo of the whole of those areas. Yes.
I like that statement.
Anyway, Dr. Michael Zekoma,
thank you very much.
Let's cut the chase here, people. Let's cut the chase here. And I want Michael Zekoma to basically start, let's get into the conversation, because this is a very, very brilliant interview.
In a write-up I have just done, which I will post out later in the day, I have termed it the Asaba, Accord Concordiaire. Accord Concordiaire. It reminds me of the Aburi Declaration, which was meant in Ghana, in Aburi, Ghana, by General Yakubu Gowon and Odumegwu Ojukwu, General Colonel Odumegwu Ojukwu, to say it is historical that it was failure to abide by that Aburi Declaration that Nigeria finally slided into a bloody 3-year civil war.
Stop. Actually, it was Nigeria went into avoidable. That is a key word. Avoidable civil war. Avoidable, because again, that war was not necessary. That war could have been avoided. That war that we lost over 3 million people wasn't needed. If common sense, if men went there prepared. Ojukwu came in, his people were dying. He came in there, he said, because he's been thinking about it. They say he who wears the shoes know where he pinches. He came in there prepared. Now, here we are, the southern governors are those who really understand that this is what our people are going through. When a governor who is the security officer gets a phone call, oh, my village has been, this has happened in my village, this has happened in my community, we lost this how people here, we lost how many people here. No one wants to hear such news. Obviously, they read news, they watch TV. They're not like the one at the helm of affairs who probably doesn't, I don't know if he reads news. I don't know what he does. But this is it. And he said it the way it ought to be.
That ended in January 1970, after the federal government had wrongly diagnosed that the entire civil war will end within a few days through a bicycle operation from the Nsukka flank axis. That Asaba declaration is the best thing to have happened to Nigeria in this state of confusion, in this state of insecurity, in this state of fear, in this state of fear, fear of death, fear of fear, fear of the unknown, in this state of Nigeria being turned into a swath of crimson blood, oozing and crying to high heavens for redemption. I doff my hat for the governors. I salute them for their courage, their uncommon sense of patriotism, because these are governors from different states, from different backgrounds. The Anyomas were there, through Okowa, representing Delta. The Ikweres were there, through Wike, representing River State. The Yorubas were there, being represented by Akeredolu, who is even the governor, the chairman of the Southwest Governors Forum. He even read the communique. I saw people like Dr. Ifeanyi Ugwanyi. They were all there. People like Governor Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State. They were there. Oyatola of Osun State. They were there. The Okowa himself, who hosted. Emmanuel Udom. They were all there to try to salvage Nigeria from the precipice, from disintegration, from implosion, from self-immolation. I therefore thank them. I salute them. I salute their courage in forgetting that they are either APC or PDP, in forgetting that they were either Christians or Muslims or animists, in forgetting that they were either Igbos or Yorubas or minorities. God will bless them. They will be recorded in history. They will enter the pantheon of great historical figures of having done the needful to save Nigeria from ourselves. Well, that is my first intervention.
Well, Dr. Zekome, there have been reactions from the northern part of the country, from groups, interested groups from the north, from the Miyetti Allah to the Arewa Consultative Forum, to key figures in the north, like Senator Ali Ndume and others, and also from the leadership of the National Assembly. And one key point that has come out of those reactions is that, one, what is being recommended, the ban on open grazing by the southern governors, will seem to amount to a violation of the Constitution, Section 41 thereof. Now, one other commentator said it's a violation of the Land Use Act. How? Well, I also do not understand how. And also, the point has also been made that southern governors cannot take decisions on issues of national interest on their own, unilaterally, in a hotel, without consulting governors of the North. What do you think of these reactions? Is there anything illegal and unconstitutional about the call for the ban on open grazing? Does that violate Section 41 of the Constitution or Section 1 of the Land Use Act?
I laugh, nay, guffaw at this, at these criticisms. I think these people always feel that we are like the Bourbons of European history.
I'm really, really loving this, because again, it's good to regurgitate, it's good to revisit history that we may not forget what happened before in order, because when we know the history, it's going to help us to inform the decisions we're going to take for the future.
That learnt nothing and forgot nothing. To the extent that even after the Treaty of Versailles in France in 1919 and the promulgation of the League of Nations, the Second World War still broke out between 1940 and 1945, leading to human misery and death of people in two Japanese twin cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki through the atomic bomb. They always think that we suffer from collective amnesia. It is not true. Some of us still have brains. Even if you have castrated most Nigerians, some of them still have balls. I have balls. We can still talk. You can silence us. On the 9th of February this year, the northern governors, and listen to this, the northern governors met through virtual meeting. They were the first to throw in the bombshell.
Before you're even going too far. Recall the former Secretary of State, John Kerry, came to Nigeria during the time of Jonathan. In the eve of the election, he met the governors, the northern governors. Did Nigeria fall? They met all together. He met the not the emir, what's it called? The one in Sokoto. Oh, can't remember the title again. He met the religious leaders. A man who came into Nigeria flew to the north and met these leaders without meeting the president. And he left. Did Nigeria fall? The northern governors have been meeting since January. Remember, after NSAS, what did they do? Northern governors met and thanked their people the way they disrupted that NSAS protest not happening in their region. That what happened in Lagos, that the destruction of Lagos, that they condemned it, which honestly I also condemned the destruction, but the protest that happened in Lagos I will never condemn, because that is people's right. The people have the right to express themselves. So the northern governors, since the existence of Nigeria, have been meeting. They meet to take their decisions, far-reaching decisions that concerns them. Remember, I think a couple of years back, they met in America. They went to America, a couple of them. Here, see, we didn't bother ourselves. I keep arguing, please, if you know how you will transform northern Nigeria to be Qatar, Dubai, just do it. Just, go ahead. Forget me and my own. Go ahead, transform it to become the Qatar. Rather than, you have a scourging menace trying to suffocate you in form of the Almajaris. And now this government has been in government for the past 6 years, yet not a single solution has been proffered regarding the Almajaris. Listen, if Nigeria does, and if northern Nigeria does not solve the Almajari problem that has to do with uncontrolled sex, yes, I said it, combined with religion, and because if not, why would you just keep pumping out kids without any thinking twice on how you're going to take care of these kids? Oh, you give birth to them because you think that using protectives or using protection is against your religion. That's absolute rubbish and nonsense. Again, you let these things happen, you produce these kids. What we have today in form of Boko Haram, if you do not sort out this now as a matter of urgency, what we have today in form of Boko Haram is just boys brigade and boy scout on what is happening. And this is not a thing we can shoot. You can't solve this problem by just shooting your way out of it, bombing your way out of it. It is not possible.
That open cattle grazing or night grazing and using underage people was no longer the norm of the world, that we were leaving behind times, that they should now begin to look at the issue of ranching, and that from now onwards, they were all determined to ensure that they stop cattle grazing, open cattle grazing, and trekking of Fulanis on the streets of Nigeria. They took that decision. Based on that decision of the Northern Governors Conference or body, 2 days later, on the 11th of February, the entire Nigerian Governors Forum met virtually and agreed with the Northern Governors Forum, who had actually called on the entire Governors Forum to do something, agreed with them that it was high time that open grazing be stopped immediately.
Please, I will stop you here, my good learned friend, SAM Michael Zuckerman. Let me quickly bring in the Gandola of Kano State to actually tell us here exactly where you are, what he thinks should happen as it concerns open grazing. Ganduje, or aka Gandola, can you please tell us?
Gandhi said, Gandhi said, whatever you do for me without me is against me. Ask all those, 13, 15 governors that met in that hotel. Was there any of the Fulani leaders consulted? Any of the Fulani leaders consulted? So they're there making laws for people that they have not consulted. This is a problem with government, disconnected, out of touch with realities of people. You must sit down and talk with people you are making laws for. None of those governors have sat down with Fulani leaders in wherever they are and tell them what we're planning to do, or what we're going to do, or what alternatives are there. And then they're sitting down there and making laws.
All right.
Be careful.
We have to take some drastic measures. Otherwise, we are just scratching the problem on the back. We must understand these issues. There are ECOWAS problems. As of now, there are ECOWAS problems.
So, you can hear, obviously, you can hear, I think...
Gandhi said, whatever you do for me...
No, sorry, there is a mix-up here. You can actually hear, I'll let this be, but I'll come back to what Ganduje was saying without mixing it up with the other one, so that it's going to be very clear for us to follow. Quickly, let Michael Zuckerman go on.
And these decisions were subscribed to by all and sundry. Senator Bala Mohammed, the cerebral governor of Bauchi, since openly to say it was now antiquated, primordial, the activity of cattle grazing along streets, along farms. Governor Ganduje, Umar Ganduje of Kano State, has since come out openly to say open cattle grazing was no longer in currency and that they should all abolish it. So when I heard these critics some of these historical revisionists, some of these whippersnappers, some of these turncoats, lying to all Nigerians that it was the southern governors that first made that call. My heart bled, and I felt sorry for this country. How can you say the southern governors should first have consulted you before making declaration to take care of security in their state? When the Constitution, Section 47, Section 52, Section 14.2, Section 176.6, Section 11.2, 1 and 2, have, in fact, Sections 214, 215, and 216 of the Constitution of Nigeria of 1999 have put the burden on state governors as the chief security officers of their states and their houses of assembly can make laws for the peace, order, and good government of their countries, of their states. How can these so-called critics say that they ought to have been consulted? Did they consult the southern governors when, as far back as 1999/2000, they were enacting the Sharia laws with which they were cutting off arms?
You know why I'm laughing? As if I consulted him. I've been saying it here. When they were enacting laws under President Olusegun Obasanjo, the southern governors didn't meet to say whatever these laws, these Sharia laws, was against the South. They never did. Never bothered. Because the southern governors have it in their head. You know, you do whatever is best for your people. Why should we get involved? People sell alcohol. People have motels and hotels. People have bars where they sell alcohol, but you do not, you just barge in there, get these things and destroy them on the street with your tractors or with your caterpillars, whatever it is. Yet all the alcohol that is being consumed, you get, in as much as these alcohols are haram, you still have the infantry to come and take part in that taxations. Enough of this nonsense.
Of citizens, in spite of public uproar and international condemnation. I remember the case of Jangebe, whose arm was amputated over an illicit affair with a woman. Did they consult the southern governors? I didn't hear them consult the southern governors when they were enacting laws governing Hisbah. I didn't hear them. So how come they always see the relationship in Nigeria between some of them and others as one of master-servant relationship or king and vassal? How come these people fail to realize that Professor Onigo Otite, in his demographic survey of Nigeria, discovered that there are 374 ethnic groups in Nigeria, and the Fulanis constitute only one of 374 ethnic groups? How come they have not realized that going by the words of one Saleh, who said he was speaking for Miyetti Allah? I didn't know that Miyetti Allah can even become the spokesperson for a proud race like the Fulanis of Uthman Danfodio. I heard him say that the Fulanis in Nigeria are 17 million people, and that they are free, they are ready to leave Nigeria. All because others are telling them, don't kill us in our homes, don't rape our wives and our children in our farms.
See, don't kill us. Sometimes I feel like it's either we are all going mad, that something is not Because I don't understand how we should be doing, discussing this. We're looking at a case of mostly criminal activity. One, the activity itself, the action itself is outdated. That my forefathers trekked when there were no cars. That my forefathers trekked from my village to the Onitsha market 100, 200 years ago does not mean in this modern time I must insist. It's just like someone waking up and say, oh, the Prophet Muhammad, during the time he lived, he drove and he rode camel. And you want to ride camel today. Maybe you want to go from Egypt to Qatar with camel. Come on now. This is nothing what we should be discussing, because it is intellectually insulting to say.
Don't kill us, don't murder us on the streets. That is the offense. He said you are 17 million. Fine. If you are 17 million, one of 374 ethnic groups in Nigeria. Nigeria's population by July 1, according to United Nations projection, is 210.6 million people. I'm not a good mathematician, but something tells me that if you look at 17 million Fulanis.
Me too. I'm not a good mathematician, but I'll tell you the easiest way to learn about money, to learn about mathematics. 17 million, put naira sign, dollar sign, or pound sign to it. Wallahi, every person who is not a good mathematician, the moment you do that, the math becomes clear.
And 210.6 million people, it will be in the region of 8%, meaning that the Fulanis in Nigeria are nothing more than 8% of the entire population. How dare you now want to lord it over everybody, what you call tyranny of the minority, because you possess the arms, because you are encouraged by a president who is one of you, all of whose appointments, 98% of his appointments, particularly in the security architecture of Nigeria, are from his own ethnic group, the Hausas, and his own religion, Islam. That is why Nigeria suffers and bleeds asphyxiatingly from prebendalism, nepotism, cronyism. We are bleeding from sectionalism. We are bleeding from favoritism. We are bleeding from cluelessness, from opaqueness. How dare they say that? How dare they say the governors do not have a right on issues of security in their areas? Dr. Ruben, I've heard many people talk about individual rights that you also mentioned. I agree with you. We are all entitled to individual rights, freedom of movement, of association. This right has even also been recognized by the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. It has also been recognized by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and by the European Covenant on Human Rights. I agree. You can move above freely. But the authorities, the Supreme Court authorities, Court of Appeal authorities and Supreme Court authorities, is yes, you are free to assemble and move above freely. But this right is derogable under Section 44 of the Constitution. You can derogate from this right in the interest of public order, public security, public peace, and public morality. So that individual rights, therefore, should be subsumed within the larger rights of other Nigerians and other stakeholders, and indifferent to the security of the state. So that, therefore, is of no moment. It cannot fly. These are people who do not even bother to do rigorous reasoning and interrogate issues logically and intellectually. So when I hear them mount some of these inanities, My heart beats, and I say, Nigeria, where art thou? Nigeria, we hate thee. Indeed, God has been a Nigerian. If not, by now, Nigeria would not have been here, going by the action of these historical revisionists, the action of these expansionists, these people who want to draw everybody under them imperiously, imperially. These people want to play the Adolf Hitler of Nigeria.
Well,
Let me tell you,
Dr.
it is too late in the day.
Dr.
Nigerians will not agree.
Beyond the ban on open grazing, one of the issues that the 17 governors talked about was also the need for the federal government of Nigeria to convoke a national dialogue. And
here, when we talk about national dialogue, of course, national dialogue means that the South actually still believe, in the concept of respecting one another. That's why they're still giving you a leeway. Again, I repeat, for many of us who are not strategic thinkers, I've said multiple times on this platform. You see, the only reason why you can see this helter-skelter form of running is because of the coming together of the Southern people. Not when you divide yourself into what's it called? Oduduwa Nation, Igbo Nation, or Biafra, or Ijaw Nation, or Midwest region. No. That's just, for me, all distractions. Distractions, if you're getting real. The real deal is a collective Southern Nigeria. Collective Southern Nigeria is the cure, is the paracetamol to the madness.
I thought I saw a comment from you saying that no, nobody should talk about
the paracetamol. So sorry about that. Sorry about the break in transmission. But here I am again. I'm deeply sorry that I'm deeply sorry. Please, can we maintain decorum here? Can we maintain decorum at the chat section? Because I can see that some of us are already started, arguing. But before we continue, let's play a video of how and where probably they want to take this conversation to. Watch. This eventually, how can we be in a country where somebody said that this is Nigeria is now a country, which is COW, and then 3. Nigeria is now a country, COWNTRY. So, and I've made to understand that this is the CMD coming for a word round. CMD is the normally Chief Medical Director. Okay, but here is the cow medical director. It's still the CMD. The CMD coming for a ward round to inspect what is Nigeria is a funny place. So the CMD is coming. that video cracks me up. Sorry. That video cracks me up. Anytime I see that video, it cracks me. Really, people, when you have the when you have the CMD coming in to look at what is happening in the hospital. So, bottom line here remains that no matter what you and I think, no matter how and what every other person thinks, that the people invariably have the right to make a decision for themselves. They have the right to make a decision for their region. They have the right to decide we do not want cows in our place. To move. No one is saying we don't want cows. Please, let's not get these things twisted or wrong. Of course, everybody, have the right to do their business. But what the people are saying and what the leaders, aka the governors, have said is that they do not want. So what the what the people are saying is that no, we do not want this to happen. We don't want this to happen. So let's continue with Dr. Michael Zekeme here, and before we...
I made the statement, but not from that context. I said, and let me now reiterate it for all viewers to hear me, and I always want to be recorded in history, so that if for any reason at any point in time I contradict myself, my attention should be drawn to it. And if I find so, I will apologize. What I said, and which I now repeat, is that the governors meant well in asking for convocation of a national dialogue. They call it a national dialogue. Whether you call it Sovereign National Conference, national dialogue, national summit, national talk show, whatever, or workshop, the important thing is that they want Nigerians to dialogue. And all I said, which I now repeat, is that there is no need for a further national dialogue. Because all the recommendations of the national dialogues that have taken place in this country have never been implemented. That all you needed to do is to go back to them and take out those things you want, because all these issues we are talking about today are already embedded there. Dr. Ruben Abati, I was at the 2005 National Political Conference, convoked by Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. I headed the subgroup of the civil society. In 2009, I was at the Vision 2009, convoked by Alhaji Umaru Shehu Yaradua. God bless the soul of that great statesman who did not live long enough to actualize a better Nigeria that he had envisaged. I was present as a federal government delegate at the 2014 National Conference, headed by the late Justice Idris Legbo Kutugi, with his deputy being Professor Bolaji Akiyemi, that intellectual prodigy, that iconic Nigerian. I was there. And with all humility, let me say this, not with a view to beefing up my image. The leadership of that conference pronounced me the Cicero of the 2014 National Conference. I tell you, Ruben.
You know what? Because they pronounced you the Cicero, so let me get your brother from the Niger Delta to actually thank you for all you have done. Okay?
On the hour.
Thank him.
From Niger Delta Broadcasting Service. My name is Andrew Uweri Okere Ajapasa. Yesterday, some angry Warri Jaguda boys carried dangerous weapons like a cutlass, iron pole. I went down to the Uborikoko oil facility. When they reached there, the security people vanished into the bush like Willy Willy.
So what we don't want you to do is we don't want you to vanish like Willy. So sorry, dear. We obviously don't want you to vanish like Iwili Willy. So continue.
Over 200 decisions were arrived at that conference. There were 492 members drawn from across all strata of Nigeria. We sat for about 6 months There were times, there were cases of near pugilism, near fisticuffs, near physical fightings. There were times we had to do horse trading. The members were drawn from the civil society, elder statesmen and elder stateswomen, market men, market women, the youth, the students, the physically challenged, professional groups, lawyers, medical association, the private sector, government sector, diplomatic corps, the police, the military, traditional rulers, even the hoi poly, the common man and woman, the Fransphanos wretched of the earth, were given a slot. It was convoked by Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. And I remember we were sworn in on the 12th of March, 2014. That great Nigerian whose efforts were watered down and undermined. And we are seeing the consequences. That man who said, my ambition is not worth the blood, the drop of blood of any Nigerian. And after arriving at all the recommendations, we gave them to President Jonathan, who sent them to the National Assembly about July 20.
Pause. You see, that's one of the problems I had with President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. You know, I think in politics, second term always have a way of making men impotent. Because if he had decided ab initio to only govern for one term, 5 years is more than enough to have implemented and put Nigeria in a different course. Now we are all shouting, demanding for the one who goes to hospital for ear infection treatments to listen to you and implement something he never read. He said he never read it. He doesn't have any reason to read it, and to implement a report. You're still wondering why we're where we were. I'm gonna be like a professor Yemi Osibanjo now. That's where we are, where we were. Well, at this juncture, an interlude. I would actually ask my good friend and our collective brother, in the person of Alhaji Kazaure. Alhaji, you see what this man is talking. There is joblessness everywhere. Alhaji Kazaure, what do you talk?
Somebody will suffer from primary, secondary to the tertiary education, coming out, having no job to do. And now, 3 million people apply in only 10,000. And now, budget office, they plan to reduce it to 5,000. So, Mr. Speaker, what kind of planning is this? Bad plans. Wow. Seriously, Mr. Speaker,
So, which kind of planning is this? We are planning and planning and planning, no execution. And here we are, a people who is telling you that your plans will not even see the light of the day because you went into a hotel room and met.
Of course, you all know that shortly after that, electioneering started until 2015 February when elections were held. This government of APC, during their campaigns, made it clear that they will do devolution of powers. They will restructure the country. 2 years ago, they also set up a committee headed by Governor El-Rufai of Kaduna State, which also recommended restructuring, urgent need for restructuring. But this government has nicodemously, very disingenuously, refused to touch these recommendations with a 10-foot pole. That was why I said, you don't need another national conference with lack of time. It will lead to dissipation of energy, of resources, of time, of unnecessary acrimony will be generated.
So people, if you haven't done so, especially those of you watching me on YouTube, we are streaming on various media platforms, on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Facebook. If you haven't done so, please, can you quickly just give this video a thumbs up? Share this video. It doesn't take you a couple of seconds so that others will do, especially those of you on YouTube. When you do share this video, when you like it, YouTube algorithm lets other people to know that you've watched this video and you liked it. Therefore, they can recommend it to other people to also watch. I would appreciate greatly if you do that. And for some of you coming here for the first time, I say welcome. This is Njenje Media TV, where we pieces issues. You know, this is part of our street parliament. We have our own parliament here on this platform. We have everybody's come here and we speak our mind. And we do one thing: we try as much as possible to be respectful. We cannot disagree. After all, we are not born on the same day. We disagree, but we disagree respectfully. Okay. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please. So, like I said, if you haven't subscribed, kindly do so. We are getting somewhere now. Let us now come back to what this, obviously what he was saying before. But before we do, we'll bring back Mike Zokome here. There is another analysis that I wanted to do.
Zokome.
I'm not going to do that analysis today, but that's going to make this video to be too long. And that was the angle that Okorocha also brought to this discourse. You know, many of you may like or dislike him, but he brought a different angle to this discourse. But we might do that maybe tomorrow, and we'll see. But eventually, these are discussions that we must.
The issues that the 17 governors talked about was also the need for the federal government of Nigeria to convoke a national dialogue.
I mean, this national dialogue we have, you know, we've basically talked about. So let's fast forward to something more interesting. Can we make
They recommended a hybrid of presidentialism and Westministerial system of government so that some of the ministers, including the vice president, should come from parliament, from the legislature. They recommended independent candidature. They touched the issue of revenue allocation, resource control. We did everything after 6 months of talk show. So I didn't therefore see the need, even though the governors meant well, for another dialogue. Because what they are looking for, as we always say in the common parlance, in Sokoto, is already in Sokoto. Sokoto. We should not pretend, as the government is doing now, to be like the Chichi Dodo bird, the Chichi Dodo. I know you are a literally giant, yes. Dr. Abatin. You know about that Chichi Dodo bird. Envisaged by Professor Ayi Kweyama. God bless you. In his epic, in his Nullus Secundus novel, The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born. The Chichi Dodo bird hates human excrement with all his soul and heart. But do you know what? His food is maggots that wriggle out of decaying human excrement. In other words, it is like saying you do not like beans. You hate beans with all your heart. But your best food is moi and akara. It is an attempt to deny that Hamlet is the Prince of Denmark. It is an attempt to say that 6 is now different from half a dozen.
A dozen.
If this government is really serious about Nigeria being together, instead of being a piece of geographical expression, as Obafemi Awolowo once put it in his book, and has been a piece of historical accident, as Amadou Bello, the Sedana of Sokoto, once put it, they should go back to that 2014 National Conference.
Hold on. Let me bring Buhari and ask him, Buhari, why did you not actually like the 2014 National Conference?
Will you look into the recommendations in the National Confab report?
Well, frankly, I haven't studied it. I have a problem with that conference. My problem...
You see, frankly, he hasn't studied it. And he has a problem because You know, when you have a problem with that document, there is nothing you can do every time you will have a problem. So because of the problem with the document, it's not going to do anything. Everything is not going to do it. So let us.
And they will see that we don't need to look too far to put our act together. Otherwise, let me warn, let nobody deceive himself. Breakup may not necessarily be immediate. It could be instrumental. Where is, Ruben, where is Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh? Don't you know they were once together? Court of Eritrea and Ethiopia. Court of Sudan and Southern Sudan. Court of the former USSR, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. Do you know how many countries, independent countries, they broke into? Go to small Rwanda here. I was here about two weeks ago. Come and see what Paul Kagame is doing with the country. Today there are no longer any Hutus or Tutsis in Rwanda. They are all Rwandans. After a 3 months bloody, fratricidal, genocidal war in
3 months. Ours was how long? 3 years. 3 years. We are talking about protection. Are you happy with the way things are going? Mr. President, are you happy? Can you tell us what you think?
The government has failed to do its principal duty of protecting life or property of all beings inside its territory in Nigeria.
So, Mr. President, you said it, not me. So you said it, the government have failed. So I don't know who is the head of the government. Okay? So it's you that said it.
Ebonyi State, they've all banned open grazing, but that has not put an end to it. So isn't there a problem in this regard? Because obviously this has been interpreted, particularly within the APC, as an attack on the Buhari government. And the APC governors from the South who attended that meeting on May 12 have also been accused of rebellion and anti-party conduct. What do you think?
I'm not surprised, Dr. Ruben. I'm not surprised at the reaction. Were you really expecting that President Buhari will do anything about it? If you expect that, then I should also expect that I'm no longer an Wepawano person from Ivukwe, near Akinebodo in Esako East local government area. It will mean that I will suddenly believe that I'm an Igbo man, or Yoruba man, or Hausa or Fulani. So if you expect Buhari to do something, he will not. There is no person so difficult to wake up as someone who is pretending to be asleep. But you see, when you allow maggots-infested pieces of firewood to be brought into the house, you should not complain when you see lizards coming in colonies. The governors, it is true, do have their own powers. I'm aware of the provisions of section 214, 215, 216 of the Constitution, which institutionalized a behemoth police force at the central level. That is why we have been calling for a decentralized police. And it is because of this that states have gone back inward to begin to make their own community neighborhood policy, like Amotekun, like the Eastern Security Network.
Like Ebubiagu.
That is why states have gone back. Ebubiagu. That is why states have gone back. Now, let me now tell you, the states do not need the federal government's nod to be able to enhance security in their zones. Nigeria operates a federal system of government, not a unitary system of government. The 50 states in America do not require permission from President Biden for them to do things in their states. Texas and California, there are two states whose economies are bigger than that of Nigeria. In fact, Texas is even larger than Nigeria in landmass. They don't require presidential approval for them to control resources in their areas? No. The states rightly have the power under Section 4, 7, Section 5, 2, Section 11, 1 and 2, Section 14, 2A and B, Section 176, 7. They have the powers to promulgate laws, to enact laws in their various states to halt the menace. Bayelsa has already enacted such a law. Ebonyi State has done that. I'm aware that Osun State has done that. I'm aware that Oyo State has done that. Indeed, not only did Benue do that, Benue even tested the legality and constitutionality of the law before the Federal High Court in Makurdi, where the judge, a Yoruba woman at that, held in the case of Attorney General of Benue State versus Attorney General of the Federation that the anti-Ruga settlement law, the anti-open grazing law, the street grazing laws passed by the Benue State government was legal, was legitimate, was constitutional, and I dare say even moral. All that the governors have to do, those who have not promulgated such laws, is to go back and tell the Attorney General immediately, enact such anti-open grazing laws and anti-street cow herding laws in our state, and then they can enforce it. If the federal government refuses to lend them, the national police, because the Inspector General of Police is one of their own, the Minister of Police Affairs is one of their own, the President of Nigeria is one of their own, the Chief of Staff of the Army is one of their own, the Chief of Staff to the President is one of their own, the Attorney General of the Federation is one of their own, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation is one of their own, the Comptroller General of Customs, of Civil Correctional, of the Correctional Center, even of Civil Defense, even of Fire Service, even of Immigration are their own. So I will not expect them, that people who control 98% of the entire security apparatus and architecture of Nigeria will lend their weight to governors to enforce this law. What do? Those who have not yet promulgated their type of Amotekun and what do you call your Ebubeagu laws should immediately promulgate such laws to defend their territories. Hello, we are in a federal system. We are operating not a unitary system. The federal system of government envisages that the federating units, whether states or regions or subnational groups, should be able to operate within their realm without undue interference from a powerful, overwhelming, behemoth government at the center. Do you know, Ruben, why we are suffering from what we are suffering from? I always like things in their historical context. Just give me 2 minutes for this. Nigeria was already a country of different nationalities and different nations. You had the Oyo Empire. You had the Kane Bonu Empire. You had the Hausa city-states. You had the Igbo city-states. Didn't you hear of Nana, King Nana of Ichekiri? Didn't you hear of King Kosoko? Didn't you hear of Oba Oboramino Gbaisi, the man who in 1897 put away the British invaders, which led to the British punitive expedition in 1897? Didn't you hear of Jaja of Opobo? Haven't you read about Madame Moremi? Did you hear of Queen Idia, Queen Amina? Did you hear of the Oyo Empire and the Oyo Mercy and the system of government in Benin Kingdom, to the extent that during Eware the Great, the British wrote that when they came to Benin, they saw a...
You know, I like listening to Uzakome here. He puts things in clear context, you know, because in as much as, you know, for you to be in an equal union is where you willingly cede your rights. When you talk about, you know, in politics, you know, talk about those who studied politics, who know Hobbes, John Locke, and when you talk about the concept of social contract, you willingly cede your right. You know, the reason why everybody is not carrying arms, that when it comes to security, you've ceded your rights to the state, that the state should in return protect you. But the moment you haven't ceded your right, the state is not doing what naturally, even without ceding your right, the state is not doing that which it ought to do. What do you expect? Naturally, you expect nothing than anarchy, and that's why we are where we are today. That's why you can see these, you know, everybody is shouting. Everybody is, it's basically saying the same thing, that this is not working out. Why is it that a certain people are, you know, in as much as everybody is crying, appear not to be listening? We have, but well, in fairness, it appears that, but very minute few, like this man here, very minute few are beginning to somehow, even when they speak up, they do not speak up for speaking up's sake. They just somehow chip it in as if they are trying to say something. Just listen to
God safety in Nigerian territory. If Chadian president, who is a retired military man, will lead his military to fight Boko Haram and root them out of the country. Our president too is a retired military man. He's a general. Let him come out and lead these people so that we can root out Boko Haram and other criminality in our land. That is my own suggestion.
This man, I'll be surprised that DSS hasn't visited him. Said that their president is he's also a military man. He should come out and root out, you know, these criminals. But before we continue and conclude with Michael Zakome, let me bring back the video that I couldn't play before. That is Ganduje. For Ganduje to actually speak to the issue here, because, you know, many of you might know Ganduje from that clip, the video of Abada, or rather Bullion Van Babariga. You might know him from that clip, you know, the Kanu Wood of Bullion Van Babariga. But, you know, he is one man that has consistently been practical. Even in this video, he made suggestions as what the solution is. Yet, I do not trust him. I don't know why, but I do not trust him for one bit, because it's been a couple of months since he made this, you know, statements. Yet till today, there is nothing that anybody can see that is happening. Then that brings me to the point of, yes, you know the problem, and you can propose a solution. Are you willing to walk your talk? Let's listen to him now, please.
We have to take some drastic measures. Otherwise, we are just scratching the problem on the back. We must understand these issues. There are ECOWAS problems. As of now, there are ECOWAS problems. So through ECOWAS, there must be a means of either registering the cattle that are coming into Nigeria, or preventing the movement of cattle into Nigeria. That is a fact, because they come with weapons. Initially, they were coming with weapons to protect themselves from the clash with the farmers. But now they've taken advantage, coming with weapons that they sell into the country, apart of using the weapons to commit crime. That is one herdsman that we must look into. Two, there are herdsmen that are coming from northern part of this country to the middle belt to the southern part of the country. It's the same problem because there's always conflict across the country. And the way I describe the herdsmen is that a herdsman in Nigeria has not succeeded in fighting poverty, and poverty has not succeeded in fighting the herdsman. Why do I say that? The herdsman who goes about with hundreds of cattle, looking at the cost of cattle, he's going with a mobile bank. So you cannot call him a poor man. But looking at his body, looking at the type of dresses, the dresses that he puts, the shoes that he wears, his body, you cannot call him a rich man. He's exactly a poor man. Somebody who can trek from Kano to Ogun State, you cannot call him a rich man, he's a poor man. So the movement by trekking from northern part of this country to the southern part of this country must be stopped. If we need peace with the farmers, but if we are led by sentiments, ethnic sentiments, herdsmanship must change from tradition to commercial herdsmanship. It must translate to commercial, not to tradition. Those days are gone. I know some of the members of the Mieti Allah Association may not be happy with my statement, but I have to make it. I am Fulani man. Myself, like them, I learned Hausa in primary school.
So, he's a Fulani man himself. Obviously, he's in his confession now. Hausa is not his mother tongue, but he has to learn Hausa as well. So that's why sometimes many of you, especially my brothers in the South, when you see people from the North, and without taking cognizance of the fact that majority of the people you have, or sometimes come down east, are those from the Middle Belt. See someone from Taraba, you say Hausa. You see someone from Plateau is the same. Someone from Benue for you is the same. Someone from Southern Kaduna is the same. Someone from Southern Nasarawa is. So everything will basically lump everyone into one. But here he is. Giving his own analogy of what he understands, or what he understands of the issue. But in his own diagnosis, the only issue I have here is he's proposing for a ranching system. Now, I think I would have wanted a situation whereby, and that's one thing politicians don't do in Nigeria. That's why sometimes they don't like to engage some of us, because when you talk about timelines, they don't. If we say, I'll give you in the next 6 months, this is what we're going to do. In the next 6 months, we're going to build ranches. Then because I would understand and I would take him more serious if he has built maybe ranches, if he has come to a point that there are actionable things he has done to say, okay, we have built this ranch by the state government. You come in with your cow. This is how much you're going to pay. And these acres of land, we're going to be using and cultivating the feeds for this animal. And we are partnering with a company in the Netherlands for the chipping of these cows, insert them with GPS trackers against cow rustling, or even insert them places where people wouldn't even know that these insertions are made. We must transit, these, as he rightly said, these issue of headers, must transit from this traditional, archaic way of doing business in the 21st century to some form of modernity. And it's only when that is done, that is where you can now use the state power to punish, and you can easily track those that are entirely innate out of just because of criminal activity, or just because of crime, or just there as kidnappers. That's what is actually that's what we need to see happening. But again, for me personally, his conversation, all he says, still remains in the realms of, in the words of Patrick Obiagbo, remains in the realms of verbal Barakboism. And having mentioned Obiagbo here, let me bring back my brother from the Niger Delta to please read the 10 seconds news of the Niger Delta.
On the hour from Niger Delta Broadcasting Service. My name is Andrew Uweri Okere Ajapasa. Yesterday, some angry Warri Jaguda boys carried dangerous weapons like a cutlass, iron pole. I went down to the Aburi oil facility. When they reached there, the security people vanished into the bush like willy willy.
Security people vanish like a willy willy. Oh, dear. I like it when security
On the hour from Niger Delta Broadcasting Service. My name.
I like it when security people vanish. Oh, dear. I need to have fun sometimes when he said they carry iron pole. I hope you guys understand what that iron pole means. They carry Jaguda. Jaguda voice. Let's go back to something serious, okay?
The 1963 Republican Constitution, the 1979 Obasanjo Military Constitution, the 1989 unused IBB Constitution, the 1995 unused Abacha Constitution, then the present Constitution, which is actually a decree, number 24. No matter how you amend this Constitution, I see them amending. Amendments plus amendments times amendments will still come to zero because the Constitution is not indigenous, it's not autonomous. So the people have not bought into it. A Constitution must be owned by the people. That was why on the 10th of August, 1963, the Midwest region, through a popular plebiscite, were able to leave Western region, and they owned their constitution. Then the Western region owned their constitution. The Northern region owned their constitution. The Eastern region owned their constitution. But there was a constitution at the center, which was overridden to the extent that any provision of a regional constitution that was inconsistent with that at the center, then that provision at the center would prevail. That was true democracy that we operated in Nigeria up to and including 15th of January, 1966, when Major Kaduna Nzogu Chukwuma Ademolegun and Ifajuna and others played out the first military purge before the counter coup of July 7, 1966, that brought about 32-year-old bachelor called Yakubu Gowon to be the president or the head of state of Nigeria. Today at 32, you were just 32. Today at 32, Nigerians are still struggling to pass through the university, which when they finish, they will not get jobs. Dr. Machiumbu was Minister of Foreign Affairs at the age of 24, 25. King Alfred Jete Spiff was governor of the Den River State at the age of May 27. Dr. Samuel Ogbemudia was governor at the age of less than 30. If you do not prospectively look at these issues and solve them by looking at the past to get solutions, we are only postponing the evil day. Wow. Let me be like Nostradamus, the man who saw tomorrow, today, to say that Nigeria cannot afford to play with its unity, its so-called indissolubility, and its so-called indivisibility. It is
It is a deadly game of musical chairs, a deadly game of alawada, trickery, electronics. It is a lie in itself. It's an invitation to chaos and anarchy. It is a lie from the pit of hell. It cannot sustain us. What can sustain us? It's restructuring, what we call true fiscal federalism. True fiscal federalism. Let every state produce what it can consume and consume what it produces. Let us not act with Professor Cloud Ake's economic theory of a disarticulate economy where we produce what we do not consume and consume what we do not produce. Let Nigerians know that up to that January 15, 1966, the northern region could control their resources of famous Kano Granite Pyramid, High and Skin, cutting, through Amadou Bello, the Sadana of Sokoto, with which is set up the Northern Nigerian Development Corporation. Let them know that Awolowo controlled cocoa in Western region. Let them know that Dr. Akanu Ibiam, Azikiwe, and Dr. Michael Okpala controlled the Eastern Nigeria palm produce. Within they developed their regions.
Dr. Zekome, we have less than 2 minutes to go.
Abati,
yes.
Today, Nigerians, all the commissioners for finance go to Abuja at the end of every month under section 162 of the Constitution to go and take handouts.
Well, Dr. Zekome, we have just about 2 minutes to go. Very quickly, what are your worst fears about the future? Some Nigerians are even saying that as we move towards 2023, with the security situation in the country today, that 2023 general election not even place. So take on that very briefly, 1 minute, in 1 minute, if you can manage that.
Very quickly, I'm afraid and I'm scared for Nigeria as regards 2023 because Nigerians do not practice democracy, they practice elections. After every 4 years, the governors and the president use maybe 1 year or 10 months to work, and the remaining 3 years are devoted to campaigns and electionary matters. Are you not aware that governors have started campaigning more than 1 year ago? We are not practicing. We are not practicing democracy. We are practicing elections. We are practicing campaigns. We are practicing come and chop politics, amala politics. I only wish Nigeria good luck, but I'm scared for Nigeria. But I know God has always been in Nigeria. That same God who tells us in Lamentation 3:37, who is it that speaketh, and it come to pass. If God has not commanded that same God will be there for Nigeria. God bless Nigeria.
On that note, the Akpakpa Vigigi of Edoland, we want to thank you very much for joining us on this Live, this Sunday talk show today.
You know, on that, I like that name. I like that name. That is, you see, that is that analysis on this one. Then I'll conclude it with this other part of the argument. Osi says Osakame goes overboard with his examples. I think I do not agree. I think Ozekome, in fairness to him, actually, for me, he stays and he was focused on the issues at hand. You know, Nigeria has become a nation where nothing that is ever imaginable that cannot happen. Now, listen to this.
He paid 1 million naira to be freed.
No,
this is a very young man that I don't think from his job he makes up to 1 million naira a year. You know, so life is becoming unbearable, and it's not enough for one man to say it before you read politics into it. They are coming together now. It's across party, religion, and tribe.
There are some issues. Some other parts of the country are not quite comfortable with the demands of the southern governors. For instance, coalition of northern groups and some other groups in the north are saying they did not talk about secessionist groups that are active in southern Nigeria, that they completely ignored it.
They don't have to talk about it. If you take care of the issues they are talking about now, that one will just go off the table.
Will die down.
But we have always said this.
God bless you.
True federalism. For once, if you do that today, most of
I don't know what sometimes the leaders, you know, what do these people think? So people think that the agitators are just there. Somebody, you burn that person, he wants to agitate. Someone, you know, it's just like when you get into a marriage. You don't get into a marriage to begin to talk about divorce. You get into a marriage for a union of two. Now, divorce only comes in when repeatedly something aches you and it's being said repeatedly and no one is listening. And that's why when divorce begins to come into the equation. Exactly, and that is the same argument.
Those agitations will just go down. Because people are feeling oppressed.
You think it's automatic?
Yeah, it might not be automatic, but you see, now we are doing the constitutional review in the National Assembly. Nobody even believes that anything will come out of it. But all the Nigerians.
You know what? He's saying that nobody believes that nothing will come out of. Of course, we don't. I remember one thing I told someone when he reached out to me in 2017 that my group then should make interventions regarding the APC constitutional reform. I remember my conversation that I do not want to waste my time because it's not going to amount to anything. Actually, we had a bet. Okay, eventually, that 2007 to now, over 4 years, what has that amounted to? Absolute nothing. Ask me again. It's not that I am a pessimist. Rather, because I have looked consecutively where things are going, and I can tell us for free of charge that I do not see. But again, I want to be proven wrong. But I do not see with this bunch of rubber stampers sitting in the National Assembly, asking the president, even at some point, Mr. President, can you bring laws to us who will pass? Unbelievable. Well, let's continue.
Another point we'll get to.
Yeah, because the point I'm trying to make is if you allow for the system to work, and I keep saying this, if we are honest to the people, they will listen to you. We are in a hurry to do certain things, believing that the people, it doesn't really matter, they will also forget about it. Because why would the APC set up a committee to make recommendation? They made that recommendation and is gathering dust somewhere in the villa.
You mean the one on
restructuring or
the Nasir
yes,
committee?
Because most of the things that the southern governors are asking for are in that recommendation. So the point I'm making is
some of them are on the manifesto of the APC.
So if we had attended to that by now, we wouldn't have seen this agitation.
Exactly.
In 2007, during the orientation of the National Assembly, I was not a member then. My predecessor in office was a member of the House of Rep then. So I was watching on television. And Andrew Young was one of those, the former mayor of Atlanta, was one of those that spoke to them. And he said something in this light, that you need to take care of those below. Otherwise, they will make the system too hot for you. He said he's not prophesying. This was 2007. It has become a prophecy today.
It's happening.
So this has been in the works. But the point I'm making is, if you allow, if the Nigerian people can just trust, let me not say trust this government.
No,
if they would just allow for the National Assembly to work with the executive, just maybe, for once, there can be trust on both ends.
Nah, no trust.
So much expectations on the federal government, but some people are saying, just as Ahmed Lawan, the Senate President, said, there's another level of restructuring that perhaps could be more critical than the central one. The governors allowing the laws and regulations and codes that are stipulating our constitution to prevail. There's need for restructuring within the states, which they have failed to do, and they appear not to have highlighted during their meeting.
Who is Ahmed Lawan to say that? Senator Ahmed Lawan. Who is he to say that?
Exactly.
He's not in a position to say that.
But he's free to express it.
Yeah, he's free that, and he ends there. He ends there. As a statesman, he shouldn't speak like that.
Exactly. No, but the thing is, you are speaking as if you don't know who Lawan is. He is speaking as someone, as an interested party. He is the one wielding a big rubber stamp, trying to stamp anything the executive brings in there. So for the first time, you have an arm of government actually invariably, and I would say, has already swallowed another arm of government. Remember during the time of Obasanjo, when you had men with balls, like people like Chuba Kadibo, that today they can stand up and disagree on principles. And you saw them, they've been removed right, left, and center. When you had men like Nwabara, when they stood up and they had stood for something. But here we are, we have a bunch of rubber stampers just looking at how all they need is the next Lexus to buy. And Jesus, these people just, ilks you. You're talking about diaspora voting, you aren't giving them that. You promised that anyway. You talked about looking into the 2017 APC restructure document. You haven't done that. You talk about now amending the constitution. Yet in the 8th Senate Assembly, which you were a member, nothing happened to the one you started. In Igbo, we say about People have just basically been repeating the same thing, just taking money. That's all. That's all.
As a leader and chairman of the National Assembly, he should not speak like that. And for me, he will stop being the Senate President this week. Because what should the leader speak like that?
Well, what do you mean?
No, he should be impeached like yesterday. We are in a situation in this country because of people like them. He shouldn't speak like that. Now, I'm just talking about the review of the Constitution. People don't believe in the system anymore. And if you go and check the list put out by his deputy, Omo Agege, items 2 to 5 there, basically talking about restructuring, talking about state police and all. These are things people are agitating for right now. The governors are asking for. And you are saying we are going to go around the 6th geopolitical zone from, I think, from 26th or 25th to 27th.
2 days.
You're going to go around. You expect
public hearing.
Public hearing. You want people to come out.
In 6 geopolitical zones.
Yeah, you want people to come out and give their opinions, and you have told them that you come back, collate it, and review the Constitution. And you are there sitting and telling the governors to go and restructure their state. My governor is restructuring our state.
In what ways?
Okay, right now I can tell you, he's building strong institutions, like we have always advocated.
He's building, it's not restructured.
That's part of restructuring.
Is to alter.
No, okay, I'll give an example. The governor says politicians come with their aides, their casuals, workers. There's no stability. The civil service is not strong enough. The politicians are basically doing the work of the civil servants. So I want to build a strong civil service. So that at the end of the day, whoever comes and goes away, the service will be there to serve everybody. And that's the pillar on which he's going to build.
Has he implemented the autonomy for state assemblies and judiciary in his state?
I think
he has not.
That. I will not be the spokesperson for the state.
Yes, no, he will just use this as an illustration. Yeah. Those that accuse the governors of keeping a blind eye to even efforts at the national level as amended by the Constitution amended by the National Assembly, throwing up these, and which the President's executive order seemed to give a push in terms of implementation. The judiciary at the state level still on strike. The state houses of assembly on strike because of the refusal of the governors to implement this.
In the heart of this is funding, and it's part of what the governors are asking for, devolution of power through federalism. If we practice this, even the APC recommendation to the government clearly states that even the states should control their resources. It was part of the recommendation to the federal government.
Even the APC
so if you have some
even the APC recommendation had item number 12, referendum in it. If you no longer want, you vote, if your people vote 75% to be out, then you go out. Why all these long grammar, go up, go down? If you no longer want, and then you go. Simple. You can actually defeat these agitation. You can defeat them by shutting them up, challenging them, saying, okay, let's ask the people if they actually want to depart from this union. It's a union dispute. And this dispute within this union should be resolved in a manner that is in tandem with 2021.
If this is done, nobody will be talking about whether the state government will grant autonomy to House of Assembly or to the judiciary or to the local government. And in that report, they're even asking for the local government to be under the states. So what we are saying
is same thing with the national conference. States should create or merge local government. It shouldn't be a third tier
So
of government. In other words, federation accounts should not make provisions for local.
The IV say amend that the federation account, amend it. So the point is, we need to execute. We need to carry out some of these things. It's not enough to just say it and it's okay. We have heard because we are going to an election. You keep it there. So people are tired of hearing. You know, like they joke and say, in time past we have said the Niger Delta people will come and say, do something for us. There's those presentations, and now they will walk away and say, don't worry, what we are doing for you is in the pipeline. So now they have broken the pipeline to see what is inside, and since they saw, they have refused to live there. And that is what's happening in Nigeria today, because nobody is listening to government now. They don't trust, people don't trust government anymore.
Exactly.
Because of the behavior of the past government. That's why I would say, as much as we are blaming the president today, President Buhari today, he's really part of the problem. He's not the problem. But he ought to have taken steps to get us out of this situation.
No,
this recommendation I'm talking about by the Erufai committee was handed over to him. It was his party.
The national conference was handed over to him by former President
Jonathan, the 8th Assembly.
During the transfer of power.
The leadership of 8th Assembly in the 8th Assembly was APC. Yeah, granted that the leaders crossed later. Today, they have hand-picked leaders. What has it done?
You see, Oga, get that into your head. You have hand-picked rubber stampers, rubber, with ink. You know, this, I think they call it GV. The ink, looking for what to stamp.
For the Electoral Act and even some of those recommendations.
You talk about the Electoral Act. You just reminded me of that. Before the last election, there were some amendments that were submitted to the president. He didn't sign it. 2 years down the line, these rubber stampers can't even take it back again and say, okay, we have amended it. And it shows you that they do not care. They do not understand it. Because if they do, they should be treating it with immediate alacrity. But here they are not. That they are not doing it.
You know the president's disposition to cause for restructuring. You know it quite clearly.
Well, you can tell his body language. That was what he
has said clearly, that it's the handiwork of persons with selfish agenda.
You know, when you use the word
restructuring,
it means different things to different people. But their own recommendation, the recommendation by his party, says true federalism. And I can tell you what is the southern governors are asking for. This is largely true federalism. Even if that's not what the president wants to hear, I mean, if he doesn't understand the word restructuring, start with true federalism. Start with devolution of power to the states. Fiscal federalism. Start with that. I can tell you, I mean, sitting down here, if that is amended in the constitution today and we start implementation, the tension will go down, in short, by 88%.
Okay, 2014 National Conference, the PDP administration didn't implement.
Don't even go.
The APC administration is not implementing, and you make reference to the APC committee on restructuring. Apart from what is contained, first, second item on the manifesto, is still there on the website, talking about devolution of powers. Why are we not seeing this play out? There were previous attempts in the National Assembly. That was during the 8th Assembly. It didn't pass through. The needed number to top majority didn't come.
We cannot depend on the federal government. That's basically what he was saying. So he only just mentioned that in passive to say, look, we can't rely on the federal money anymore. And that is what's happening today, because they are all, whatever they are getting today from FARC is going for salaries.
And that is what Kaduna State government is trying to put into effect.
Is not
rationalize the service to save costs.
All governors will follow, because it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. I mean, the federal system today is not sustainable. We ought to sit down. That's part of the demands of the southern governors. We ought to sit down. Every ethnic group, 350, as at the last count, will be seated on the table to discuss it. But my own take is, before that can happen, if we even do the right thing by amending the constitution to have true federalism, that can douse the tension. I mean, this is a nation. It's not like a company that you set up today and you say, okay, it's not doing well, you can declare bankruptcy and the company folds up. This is a nation. So why we do this, take care of this today? Because I know in this country we like high-sounding things. Bring a new... Now, so 2014 we're here. Jonathan was the baddest guy around. Because APC got a consultant from the Obama administration, was it David Axelrod? Those were the guys that were Obama men. Told them, brand this man. As soon as you can, as long as you can make him look corrupt and sound corrupt, that's the end.
Is that what Obama...
That's the American campaign.
They engaged privately?
Oh, yes, they engaged. Everybody knew that.
That's APC as a party engaged them?
Yes, officially, yes. You know? And that was American policy. We were part of the Obama group then. So they tried to make Obama look weak. And where they were fighting it to say, look, you shouldn't look weak. You do that, you have a lean center. The fight for the president of this country will not be as intense as it is today.
Now, the situation at the states, you know what it's like. Some people have, even before now, expressed concerns that these powers, these enormous powers that will push to the states, without restructuring the states, and that may be where the Senate president was pointing at. If we don't restructure and give so much powers, then you just transfer the evil from the center to even a big evil at the states. You know what I'm saying?
It's easier to fight the battle at the states. That's the truth.
In what ways?
I'll give you an example. The Senate president is from Yobe. I think it's about 200, about 1010. We have 18 local governments. That's about 180 something.
So,
80 something, yeah.
So that number of advisors for the governor?
Yeah, well, that's not the problem.
Is not part of the problem, because there are some states where you have thousands of special advisors, assistants to the governors,
so
and people see them as political structures than being part of the governance processing. Are they not enough as feedback and governance structure for state governors?
Yeah, I know, but you see, if you look at, okay, I'll give you an example. If anything happens in my ward today, the councillor can say, well...
The things that were discussed, nothing is against the unity of this country.
Tell them all.
We reaffirmed that as a people, as elected governors, we believe in the unity of our country. But we also went forth to advance the need for certain things to be done in order to give strength to that unity. That cannot be a reason that you will be my deputy, you will be my this. And the same promise that they make
God from the community.
So you can hear that from the governor of Delta State, that is Okowa, what he clearly was saying there. You know, let's not bother about the whole clip, that they want to be together now, and that is what Okowa is saying. That is his own thinking. One thing he hasn't said, which he knows, but he's not saying it, is that his people are getting to the edge. They're stretching to the elastic limit. Elastic limit. You know, goats can bite. If you if you pursue a goat to the wall, wallahi, that teeth where goats, they chew grass, you go use and bite you like dog. And that's where we are now. You know, we are anybody basically playing dumb that things are not right the way, or that things are not really bad, that person is only playing dumb, that person is only acting up as if he doesn't know that things are really bad from the way they, issues are today. Things are really bad. Having said that, in conclusion and in closing this evening, again, one can only keep asking that the right things be done. And before I conclude, we'll be rounding up now so that we don't, it's much easier for people. Over the weekend, we can now probably do, just look forward to our street parliament. Our street parliament means you can come in, you can ring in, not like in the parliament at the National Assembly where they wouldn't allow you to come in or to call in. But here, we allow you to be part of the conversation, and the world would hear your voice. the world will hear that which you think. The world will hear everything that is in your head, you know. Having said that, my conclusion will now be to bring Aisha Yusufu to summarize the conversation again and put up a perspective on this evening.
Southern governors, hey, I carry handful now. Hey, see that be, you know now. One communicate when I carry come on. Now they don't talk chu for everywhere. You understand? Small thing, piaka, Northern governors meeting, piaka, Northern governors meeting, piaka, Northern governors meeting. Nobody, and I repeat, nobody has monopoly of intolerance. Nobody has monopoly of being selfish. Nobody has monopoly of being self-centered. Everybody has that capacity to be. That some people need to do and don't mean say they don't know anything. Almost Southern governors. Shall I don't understand that now? I bet I just start so. Me na they increase and they go. Me na too they get to our own meeting. They think about the southern region too. At least by the time we have the northern governors doing their thing, the southern governors doing their thing, we'll move to that Nigeria that will be better for all of us. We will get that restructuring that we've been yearning for. You know, we start informally, we start restructuring and all of that. And me una know say, no be person wey get plenty pikin, na him dey do this. No, na person wey get plenty pepper. It's not about the population, it's about what you bring to the table. You cannot be the one bringing the list to the table, and yet you're the one with all the maths, multi paka. You will stand up and start giving people instructions, giving injunctions here and there. Now, injunction is called her now, ability they call her, saying this and that, you know, this is what the country will be. Come on. There's so much insolence and so much disrespect in this country, honestly. Honestly, I see some people coming out to say that the southern governors do not have a right to make decision for ABCD. The decisions that you had, that you've made as northern governors, with what right did you have it? Or the southern governors suddenly do not have a right to make laws for the people in their own states, but the northern governors have the right to make their own laws. In short, the Igbo and the smoke, it don't expire. Me not get the latest one. If na craze say person one craze, when I show craze, me I don't talk on before, and I know they hide that. Everybody get best for psychiatric hospital. Now who want occupy your own, they go there. The one where you know want occupy, go share there for outside. So me I notice say this craze only one section of the country now craze dey. Now that where they talk say there's nobody will get monopoly of violence and monopoly of intolerance. They talk say I too they talk. But now, of course, we don't see all of us. I've always said it. My father brought me to tell me that but you know, bending backward never solves anything. And looking the other way and just you're being nice all the time, it never gets you what you need. And by the time all of us know, say every one of us craze, and that craze will happen anytime. And that bed where they for psychiatric hospital, we want to occupy am, no wahala. Then all of us go sit down, come talk, take sense, talk for the thing that we need to do. We need to begin to do the right thing in this country. And I'm so proud of the southern governor. All right. Southern governor.
I'm voted, yeah. I'm happy
this that they've done. Let's see more of it. So let's be interacting.
So thank you very much. I think I have my first caller here. And before we do, caller on the line, but hold on. Before we do, let's for the caller on the line, please. I can hear myself. Whichever device you're watching me from, can you quickly turn it down? So we take a couple of calls. But before I do, for the governors who are against the decisions of the southern governors, I have this fantastic one for you. Quickly, what?
Hello.
Malia.
Too much.
Okay, the caller on the line. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Michael. I'm calling from the United States of America. Unfortunately, I'm supposed to be in my land, but I'm somewhere here slaving to strive.
Are you the mic? Are you the mic causing too much trouble in the chat room?
No, I don't do those kind of chats. I'm actually at work and I took it.
Oh, okay.
I don't do well on the. I just do my things straight. So you see, everybody keep praising our brother called Goodluck Jonathan. That is said, my ambition is not worth the blood of anybody in the country. But I have a contrary opinion. His own ambition is costing us everything we are facing today. Do you know why? Everybody, we invested our trust in him, our support. We surrendered all our ammunition, everything we had to fight. But at the end of it, this man threw everything away and submitted to the enemy, and now we are suffering. So I blame him. He has a big portion of blame for everything that is going on today. I mean, you are a president of a sovereign state. If another country called the United States, who need me today to work for them to survive, if they interfered in your election and they kicked you out of power, what stopped you from looking for other people who were already enemies to the United States and make them come in? I mean, there are some things you fight like a man. You don't just relax and say somebody is wrestling me, I will not fight and let it just be. No.
I see.
Jonathan is responsible for what is going on today.
I see your point, but one thing you have to know, while I agree with what you're saying, that he's responsible, but we must also realize and give him that benefit of doubt. Jonathan was betrayed by those whom he trusted to work for him. You know, a clear example was, there was a time in 2015, before the election was postponed, that the president got missing for 2 weeks, roughly. Nobody knew. He was in the Southwest. He was giving the Ubers money as if tomorrow never comes. But again, those that collected money eventually betrayed him. The Southwest eventually didn't deliver as promised. And the Southwest, the collapse of Southwest and with his support was what actually saw his defeat. If Southwest was garnered, or the votes in the Southwest were garnered, there is no way he would have lost the election. But again, all these conversations are now could be put in the recycle bin of history. But you're right. You could have probably taken some decision. But again, you must also note and understand how second term makes one impotent. I had argued with some people in many forums. Imagine he ceded that presidency to someone like for the benefit of that. Imagine he ceded that presidency to maybe the then Senate president, David Mark. He would have seen a different level of fight. Probably that he wouldn't have, been able to. But again, it's only now a question of argument and conversation.
You see, part of those 2 weeks he was missing, part of the 2 weeks he was missing, he went to bed, King of Morocco. There are lots of things he did that will make you even think, was this man ever a president? He realized his power after the election.
Yeah, but
that was when he started sacking Inspector General of Police. That was when he started sacking this, sacking that. He only realized his power when everything was already over.
Well, his ambition is not. But again, I think he remains a good man by heart. I give that to him.
To an extent.
He remains a good man by heart. But that could be contested. But again, I sometimes I feel sad because the things you and I can talk about this current government or president not doing are the things that he actually failed to. Because if he had done it, There is never a time the government will come in and start undoing every single thing he did. But here we are, he didn't. He had a national conference. Yes, I do understand that there are some part of that national conference report that needed legislative powers to give them arms and leg. But there are a couple of them he could have done also with, what's it called? No, not veto. No. What's this? What's the word fails me again? These executive orders.
Yes,
There are some done. There are some that he could have done by executive fiat, that would have got us somewhere. But here we are again. Thank you once more, Mike, for calling, and I have another caller on the line. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So the caller on the line, who am I speaking to, and where are you calling from? Hello.
Hello, good evening or good morning from here.
Yes. Who are you? Who am I speaking to, and where are you calling from?
You are speaking with Mr. Peter. I'm calling from India.
Okay. Peter, good morning in India. So what's your contribution?
Yeah, my contribution is I was just listening to channel television and getting the response from the AGF countering the Southern Governor's declaration in Asaba. And Shehu Kimbaloye asked him his position on the anti-open group within the southern region of Nigeria, of which he responded. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Of which he responded that it is the ban on open grazing is as much as asking the spare parts dealers in the northern region of Nigeria that they should not do their trade. Okay, I'm trying to compare the harmful nature of both ban, if at all this could be a plan of the northern governors maybe coming out to say that all the traders in the northern region should not carry out their trade. So for me, I do not see any harm in anyone carrying out any legitimate trade in any region.
No, that's that's absolute nonsense. They do not have the powers to enforce such, because no one is saying do not. It's just absolute rubbish. No one is saying do not. No one is banning cow trading. That's a fact that must be understood. No one is banning cow trading. That's not what they said. They said movement of cows. Now, if you are, when you go to Lagos, you move your containers in certain ways, or where it gets, people lose their lives, obstructions, and the government is saying your spare parts business is causing this havoc. What we want you to do is to move in this form, not the way you've been doing it. How does that equal to banning spare parts trading? It's just that sometimes when people leave their brains in their cupboard at home, probably come out and be talking absolute rubbish. Just talking nonsense. It makes no sense. I mean, it's actually offends the common sense of anyone to even make such an analogy.
Exactly. And again, another contribution I want to make, because I just listened to you talking about that Goodluck Jonathan was betrayed by those he trusted to work for him. Sincerely, in as much as many of us do not want to criticize Jonathan, but I always look at Jonathan as someone who was very weak. Sincerely, he was very much afraid to try new things. There were things he ought to have taken control of, but maybe he was drowned in within the context that he wanted to come back for the second tenure. Probably when he comes, he's going to do it. But for me, sometimes things does not work that way. Whenever you have an opportunity, irrespective of what you think that you want to do in the future, if you do not make proper use of the present, definitely there may not be a future.
Well, it's again, to me, it's absolute. He misjudged it. There are a couple of things that we, because again, here I say things the way I see them. I don't really care whose ox is God. Now, there are a couple of things. There are a couple of mistakes he made. There was this gentleman agreement that he will run one term.
Okay.
And he can deny it, he can say anything, but this agreement existed. Even if it wasn't written, at least it was orally discussed. Eventually it changed. Eventually that changed. That became part of the first problem anyway. Now, if you remember that time, there was some time, just like now, that everybody is crying, the South is being marginalized, the South is being marginalized. Remember, the Southwest at that point were also shouting that they were being marginalized. You see, that's thing that, again, anyone that must govern this entity called Nigeria should have that in mind. That things, if it's a lie that people are pushing, that you're marginalizing them, that where you're not, you must counter these lies before it sticks in the hearts and the minds of the people. Part of the reason and part of the problem this government has is because when accusations of such comes in, they do not have dedicated hand to counter these things with empirical data. And sometimes when these things fly in the air, uncountered, people who probably are not into data analysis, who are not even discerning enough, will begin to believe these false narratives. And sadly, in the case of Jonathan, he made, countless mistakes. For instance, remember in 2011, he came to Onitsha and he said that he was going to build the second Niger bridge before the next election. And if he didn't do it, that he was going to go on exile. My brother, in 2015, all he did was to commission access road and map. Did he build it? But he could have. For Christ's sake, he could have. I was in contact with one of the consultants then. We're talking about 36 months. Anyway, he was kind of waiting when he comes in again. But you don't when you come in again, you've already broken the first. Anyway, the conversation is not for him. There sometimes it just is a sad thing to start going back to them and regurgitate these things. Thank you very much, my brother. Thanks for your call, and someone else is on the line.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
I think talking about Jonathan takes so much energy off me. I got to be honest, guys. It takes so much energy off me. So people, I'll take one or two more calls, then we'll call it a day. Let's take one or two more calls, then we call it a day. So I'll take some comments. Jackson Lincoln says, say no to artificial identity called Nigeria. We are not Nigerians. Okay. We are, I don't know what we are. Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Good evening. Who am I speaking to?
Hey, Martin. Sorry, I can't hear you.
I'm fine. Who am I speaking to?
I'm Alice. I'm calling from Little Rock.
Calling from where?
Little Rock, Arkansas.
Okay, Arkansas. Ebe a na-ata akị na-akwụsọ. No, this is a live program. We speak English on this program, please.
Okay. I have a question that is not exactly connected to your live program right now.
Okay, can we deal with that if it's not connected to the live program later, please? Are you able to send me? Are you able to send me a WhatsApp message? I will respond to that.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay, I will respond to you then. Thank you very much.
Okay, my brother.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, so please, if you're calling, let's stick to. Oh, Joyce A. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. You know, I think we're enjoying the party. So we have a caller. Hello, caller. Good evening. You are speaking to Mazes. Okay, here. This is Njenje Media TV. Who am I speaking to?
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Who am I speaking to?
Yeah, my name is Njenje and I'm calling from UK.
Okay. Thank you. Welcome to your program. And what's your contribution, sir?
Thank you.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead. I'm listening to you, sir.
Okay. I just want to make a comment concerning what Master has been saying from the conversation going on.
Okay.
I want to ask a question first.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is, looking at the body language of our president,
Mm-hmm.
I can see that he's not ready to do anything.
Like what?
Like the restructure, and with all the things that the southern governors has tabled before him.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, if at the end he failed to listen or to say anything, because that has been his way of life,
Mm-hmm.
keeping silence, pretending that there's nothing is happening. What happened next?
I wish I'm a governor. I can answer you that.
Eh?
I said, I wish I'm a governor. I would answer you that. Honestly, in fairness, sir, I don't think if we depart from the realm of speculations and we come down to the realm of reality, I think the highest thing we can do is to keep mounting the pressure. And part of mounting that pressure is that people are speaking up. Everywhere you turn in, everyone is speaking up. The governors, because the decibel of the volume of noise was what actually led the governors to react. Not that they want to, say anything. None of them in the South is interested in upsetting the federal government, because we must understand that we are in a peculiar space, with the exception of maybe Delta and River State. None of them is really in a position, and it's very simple to understand, because we have within the Southeast a people that fought war before, now being very careful to navigate the current system you have in Nigeria, not to appear to be causing another trouble, because at every slightest point, the Southeast is considered as rebels, because every other region can be talking, but the only region that they know if they remove their shirt, then we can throw one or two punches, remains the Southeast. Then you go back to the South. The South could be considered to be part of the government. At least 5 out of the 6 governors are within one party, and they're the ruling party. And one of them, incidentally, also is the chairman of the APC Governors Forum. Therefore, when someone in the African context is eating, quote unquote, you do not speak while you eat. But the question then thereof is, why are they now speaking when they can be considered, quote unquote, to be eaten? It remains the South-South. The South-South, well, again, with the exception of the 2 states I gave you, probably because of their nature, Wike can be very vivacious. And you understand why? you and I would do the same thing, because actually, without mincing word, he, if you are in his position of feeding a nation, you should speak the way he speaks. Because, and they say, please, anyone calling me on video should stop, please. So again, that's my take on it. Anyway, thank you very much, my brother, for your call. Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Oh, people, doing this analysis every time, sometimes it can sap more energy, but at least when I see kola nut money, they help maybe re-energize you as well. Like Joyce has done. Joyce has blessed us this evening as usual, so you can bless us as well. Now, I hope everybody's enjoying this party. This party is going on. So let's bring our good friend to tell us about this party. Okay? Friend, are you enjoying this party? Because I like this party. This party, after voting, this party can
Tell
be
me
very
your feeling after voting today.
Yeah, after voting, I'm feeling okay. What I want, I get it on the result. I'm getting the party I want is the one going on. Thank you for that.
What are you expecting from these people you voted?
I'm voted, they can do what you want, and then when they want what they want, inshallah, we're happiness more, isn't it?
Inshallah,
so
happiness
then
more?
please, I want to beg them. We suffered almost 10 hours, we are standing because of what we want. We need change. And then the person we need, he's the one on the party we want, isn't it? So please, we want change.
And they want the party.
The change of situation which we are now.
Let me go and invite your mom. For this thing, I'll invite your mom because your mom will just... Malia.
The mama just...
too much. So are you still enjoying the party?
The situation you are in.
Situation of suffering.
Okay, you are suffering.
Isn't it? Yeah, we are suffering. How many years? As you see, 12 years forward. I mean, almost 40-something years. I don't know what is government did for me. It's come out of this like this radio. I don't know. I don't know. Actually, yeah. I have to complain. I'm a Nigerian, really. Almost 40-something years. I don't.
Are you sure you're a Nigerian? Let me. Are you sure you're a Nigerian?
So I need change. The person I know is going to change this in by force, whether the leader they want or not. Any person which is bad, he must escape in this country, or he be hidden like how they are hiding a poor people inside prison.
So you are sure? On that note, people, wow. Laura Queen F. That is unbelievable. Thank you very much. Now the generator must keep powering on. The generator must not go off. Thank you very much, Laura Queen. That's a very fantastic super chat. Wow, $20. As they call it in England, they say 20 quid. Thank you. So people, we will be rounding up, shortly. It's been a pleasure speaking to everyone. Now, I take some of your comments and we'll call it a day. Let me take, let me start from bottom up. I have here from Judith. Even if they establish some laws, how are we? Hold on, let me push this in. Even if he had established some laws, how are we sure this lawless set of government would have abide by it? A government where the presidency overrides the law of the judiciary or the egu. Well, I think you have a point there. You have a point, but again, we can always, try and make amends. In as much as we also know that even the governors that are calling for these things to happen haven't actually done the best within their states. Everybody says the presidency is the presidency, but the local no governor in any state has any running water. They can fly to London, they can fly to Germany where they have running water, they can fly to China. But you know, yes, it says, Maz, if you have a PayPal account, yes, we do have a PayPal account as well. So it's a funny PayPal account. But yes, if you want, we have a PayPal account. We have a Nigerian bank account, but we don't share account details, because we believe Super Chat is always a good way to support live streams. But the bottom line remains, people. Oh, you guys are on fire today. Super Sticker, James Lincoln, thank you very much. Thank you. The guys in the back room will be rejoicing today. Stop laughing. Stop. Say laughing. Do your job. Do your job. Go get me more. Oh, my coffee is finished. Do your job. Go get me coffee. Not that you're here. Go get me coffee. People, it's good. It's good. I like the spirit this evening. So let's, it appears you guys don't want me to stop. You have to go to work tomorrow. You have to go to work tomorrow, isn't it? You have to go to work tomorrow. Please, I want you to go to work tomorrow. Okay? Can we go to work tomorrow? Murphy Chuk says, good morning from here, Mazi. I just joined. Oh, you missed it. We've done some fantastic analysis, but you can go back and watch the program later. I just joined the conversation, he says, and watching from South Korea. The topic, please. Wow. You're asking us about the topic, but you should see what it reads. The topic is the Aburi Accord. If it has any semblance of, I think my head is getting cool. Yeah, good evening. You are speaking to Mazes. Okay. This is Njenje Media TV. Yeah, good evening. Yes, this is a live program. Yes, you're on to Njenje Media TV and you're speaking to Mazes. Okay, live.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Roman Sumaro. I'm calling from Frankfurt, Germany.
Sorry, come again. Sorry. Your name is. May I know your name again?
I said my name is Romanus Mado. I'm calling from Frankfurt, Germany.
Okay, Romanus.
It's a little bit noisy.
I'm in the studio. I don't know. Try again.
Okay, I can hear you very well now. Yes, it's now clear. Yes, I can hear you very well now.
So may I remember your name, Romanus?
Yes, I said my name is Romanus Mado. I'm calling from Frankfurt, Germany.
Thank you.
So I've been listening for a while now. It's quite obvious we have to say things the way they are because we've explained to these people for a very long time, and obeying rule of law or doing what is right is a thing of your mind. People might know what is right, but they will not like to do that. The current Nigerian government, they knew what is right. They know what to do, but they're not interested. They've done that over time. So the only solution, we have a solution to all this crisis.
There are multiple solutions. I would always say, okay, without interjecting, you always say this. When people start, when people start a sentence as the only solution, I don't think I don't tend to agree with that. But part of the solution, because there are multiple solutions to Nigerian issues. But go ahead.
Yeah, you might be right. To your own opinion, there might be multiple solutions. But to my own opinion, that I've taught for many years, there's only one single solution. And that solution is peaceful dissolution, peaceful disintegration.
But it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it will happen when we agree. When you say yes, I say yes. Did not have no other option than to shake hands and ask where would the boundary be. The problem is that someone is profiting from the current system and he or she doesn't want a peaceful dissolution. This is a union that was handed over to us by a foreigner who didn't seek our opinion. We were colonized and we all understand that. And we all knew that we all agree that a foreign power came and amalgamated us. And which means you cannot amalgamate while it exists. You amalgamate to make it come into existence. Where we consulted, people were not consulted. It wasn't like a vote. It wasn't under a referendum that if you do you want to be together or not. Then it happened under the sheer power of the British
imperialists.
Yes. So what it says that the Fulanese or the people in the north, they call Arewa North, they don't understand these things. They have an agenda. And that agenda is to lead, to keep leading, to keep ruling. It might not be a Fulanization.
No, the elite of that region.
Yeah, the elite are the one profiting from it.
Exactly.
But
I'm happy you made that correction, because when I say when we down south make these narrows assertion that the North profits, I say to every one of us, have you lived in the North? Have you actually visited the North? Do you go to North today? If you leave Abuja and get into Nasarawa, and probably you find yourself maybe in Kaduna, you find out that the average Northerner is actually not benefiting. This Buhari's presidency, Buhari day and night, Buhari day and night, has been a catastrophic failure for his people, even more than Jonathan, as we speak, because they've nothing.
Yeah, but in actual sense, if we can make a free and fair election, an election that's going to be free and fair, for example, if a Jonathan stands against the Boko Haram leader in a free and fair election in Nigeria, Jonathan stands no chance. The North will vote him out. The North will vote a Boko Haram member.
Whoa. You say in a free and fair election, that's a contradiction there. In a free and fair election, where you and I, where our brothers and our sisters will not play ball on the streets on the day of election, yes, a Jonathan can stand. In a rigged election, where underage will vote, where children, you are in Germany, you call it kindergartens will vote. Jungliche, nah? When they do that, then yes, a Jonathan wouldn't. I mean, it's insulting to the sensibilities of Nigeria. Who, again, people, let no one make mistake and think that the North is not, or even the core North is not like. No, the core North have men. Do you know the best president Nigeria has ever had? To me, personally, the smartest and the most eloquent is actually from Gombe. That's in the person of the Alhaji Sir Tafa Balewa. Have you ever listened to him speak?
Yes.
Jesus Christ! You ask yourself, how did we just descend from that level to where we are now? That because when you have cerebral individuals, you find out that you're probably not going to get to the point of gutter conversation, because that's what we're obviously having now. Just gutter conversation, because they are driving the narrative.
Yeah, but when you talk to me, I listen.
Yes.
We have to look for those that can listen. And we cannot. Nigeria is artificial. Nigeria cannot be salvaged. It is impossible, because let's use a simple narrative. Tunde is a Nigerian. Emeka is a Nigerian. Mohammed is a Nigerian. Tunde have children and to send the children to school, for them to acquire knowledge, for them to be educated, for them to be able to do something and become something. Likewise, Emeka doing the same thing. But Mohammed is not interested in sending children to school. He doesn't want. At the end of the day, in that restructured Nigeria, at the end of the day, in that Nigeria that is functioning, these three children must sit together to bring ideas on how to move forward when their parents are no longer there. And it's called the National Assembly and also the Senate, which means if the children of Tunde and Emeka brings a positive idea and the children of Mohammed says no to it, this idea, which is called bills, will not hold water because it's not what they want. For example, if the children of Tunde and Emeka brings an idea that intelligent Nigerians, so to speak, need to be sent abroad for them to be able to acquire knowledge, become doctors, scientists, or whatever. And then the children of Mohammed, they might find out that it's likely that the intelligent ones might not be able to come from their section. And they say no to the bill will die. Nigeria will not profit from it.
Okay.
So therefore,
okay,
it is very, very relevant.
No. I do understand what you said. You know, I'm glad you're from Germany. You understand why the Germans have the Bundesländers, which is quasi what you have in England, semi-autonomous. You know, the Bavarians. They can make certain decisions that should govern, you know, call it Oberbayern, call it, you know, however you Baden-Württemberg, you know, these are areas that could make their own decision. They have their own police. Bayerische Polizei ist mal anders als Bremische Polizei. Oh, sorry, I've gotten into German now. So the German police is quite different from the Bremen police. Likewise, the Niedersachsen police. That is what, when people talk about the true federalism, what people talk about. Now, remember when Edmund Stoiber was the CSU then, you know, when he was talking about Transrapid, you know, building a fastest rail across to Munich airport. Again, these are things that you can undertake. In Germany, where you are, they have the Regionalzüge, the regional trains. So my point here is disintegration, to your point, could be one of the solutions. Another solution could be going back to regional, because that is, in my estimation, the only time Nigeria really made solid development, progress. You had the Southwest under the smart leadership of the late Sage Awolowo, who led the Yorubas to glorious land through the efforts of just farming cocoa. Do you know that Awolowo established this ranching we talk about today as if we just discovered 5G? Then we had Awolowo set up ranches. Even when the British were here, they knew that this thing cannot happen. Go back and get our 20 naira, I think 200 naira note or whatever. You see those ranches. The Obudu Ranch in Rivers, Cross River, that people talk about today, was set up, during the colonial time. That you can have this area, you ranch it, cows move around, they using their cow dungs, fertilize the place, and the grasses do well. It becomes a symbiotic relationship with whatever exists there. Where is our brain? So the bottom line is, if you have like before, where you had the Eastern region, and the Eastern region deliberated on their how to have a common place, many argue it is the 1963. But my own argument and solution will be, let it be 1963 like, but with current realities. And what is the current realities? With minor adjustments, where you can have, let's say, for instance, the Southeast as an entity of its own. If they decide to merge after a referendum with the South-South, so be it. But if they decide to be what I call Jin, G-I-N, the great Igbo nation on their own, with their brothers across the West, that you have in Ughelli, Asaba, Obiaroko, blah, blah, blah. Do you understand? Those areas on their own, that they want to join their brothers across the river. So be it. They can have a nation of their own. We wouldn't be talking about this nonsense we talk about today if people are being killed because the person sent to police you is from a place he doesn't understand your language. He doesn't even understand your facial expression. Anything you say, I hear, waiting, Ipi, I know, I stop you. You know, such nonsense wouldn't be happening, because how would me being from Anambra, I can go to Ebonyi State. The only thing is about the dialectical differences, but I still understand about Abakaliki, I still understand the Iza, I still understand the Ikwo, I still even understand the Nsukka when it's spoken, and I can even speak, a bit of it. So, because the core language and the expression is inclined and is less in that Igbo spoken language. So that could be a solution. Another solution could also be a southern Nigeria, where you go back, because you say Nigeria is an artificial creation, and I can also tell you, yes, it is true, but also so is Southern Protectorate, an artificial creation as well, because it wasn't organic, it wasn't there. Before the British actually amalgamated the South, it never existed. You had kingdoms. You had the Arrow kingdoms. You had the Benin empires. You had the Lagos colony, which was different. But eventually, these empires were fused and kingdoms were fused into one. Now, when we talk about Nigeria, because it's not working today, let's not. I mean, I think I'm saying this for academic exercise, that we should also not ignore the fact that even the southern Nigeria we clamor for is not an equation by you and I. However, you have a very excellent point. The point you alluded to the fact of the discussion at the National Assembly and all the rest, but that could be dealt with the way the Scottish today discuss in their Scottish Assembly. The Welsh have their Welsh Assembly. They discuss and they make laws. When it came to COVID, for instance, Welsh can decide they do not want they want lockdown. England, that is London, cannot decide for them. It is their decision. Scotland can decide this is what we want to do. That's why people go to universities in these places. They pay less money because they are Scottish and the other. So if one wants to have cow everywhere in the streets of Kano, it is your prerogative. You can allow cow to roam the street. Even if you want cow to be medical director, allow cow to be. But in this place, we are saying no. I don't care if that cow is owned by Mazes, okay, or that cow is owned by Yinka, who is in Ekiti. It doesn't matter. The identity of who owns that cow is irrelevant. It's a law. We do not want cow to move on the street. We have a designated areas where you can sell your cow. But aside that, no.
Okay, good. I would like to chip in some things here.
Yes, go ahead.
All you said makes a lot of sense. But first of all, I would like to go from the beginning. I love that word you use, fused. That we're fused, kingdoms were fused into one to call them the Southern Protectorate. And who did that? A foreigner, the British colony that came They went around the world and caused a lot of permanent troubles, like the one in Israel, the one we're having today, the one in India. Good. Issue. The 1963 was possible because then people thought people wanted to be Nigerians. But now, today, 2021, millions don't want to be Nigerians anymore. So therefore, it is not implementable, it's not salvageable because, for example, now, how do you restructure? Because in actual fact, in my own direct understanding, restructure simply means equal sharing. That's what it simply means. Or develop at your own pace, which we all know. Let's be truthful about these things. When we give examples of what happened in the past on how good Nigeria was functioning, we mention Awolowo, we mention Michael Obara, but very few people do mention what happened in the North because
No. Sorry, maybe as an oversight. We have the Granite Pyramid. The Sadwana of Sokoto then, remember he was meant to be drafted to Lagos. He said no. He wanted this title because remember, since after him there has never been any Sadwana. It was a title crafted. He wanted it. So once his region was also developed, actually, it's just that the politicians are evil. If not, the Amajiri system of government, Amajiri system that you see today, in itself is not evil. In itself, because it's a system of learning that is anchored in the traditions of the people. The British met it, the British knew it, and it's just that these, evil politicians of that region have begun to use it because it is more cultural than religion. But in the last 30 years, they've made it more religion than cultural. Because why is it that you don't have Amajiris in the middle belt? Why is it that even the southwest, where you still have Muslims, real Muslims, you still don't have Amajiris? So it's sorry, go ahead.
I will come in there. Well, it's a very good question. Why don't we have Almajiris in the middle belt? Why don't we have it in south? Because we are different. That word different matters a lot. These are different people. I live here in Germany since 16 years. In the last election, I voted. I almost cried my heart out because it took me exactly 1 minute, 4 seconds to walk in, vote, and walk out. It was like a burial ground. It was like nobody's harassing each other. In the last 45 years, no one, I repeat, no one has been killed in Germany for electoral violence. It is always peaceful because they are one people.
My brother, we are talking about, please, it's not, no, please.
Yeah, it's important if you people understand each other. The North will never understand.
No. Sorry, I disagree. Let's not mix two issues here. Election has nothing to do with North or South. When you are electing a governor in Imo, in Anambra, in whatever, they kill people, they kill themselves. They are not killing Northerners. These are Igbos killing Igbos. When you do that in Niger Delta, they kill themselves. It is an inherent African, or rather, I'll put it this way, it is something mislearned by Africans. I ask myself this question: why is it that no election ever occurred at the kinsman or the kinsman level that you ever see any violence? Yet every kinsman have a chairman, have the executives, but you do not see violence. No one ever come to kinsman's meeting with gun, with cutlass, in order to impose, because if you do, they will not select you. I'll give you this example as my conclusion here. In my community, a man failed the position of treasurership about 6, 7, 8 years ago. You know the reason why? The people didn't like his beard. His beard is like mine twice, like like this. So when they looked at him, they said, with this type of beard, if we give you this, if our money is not safe, it's funny. But again, my point is when Germany has conquered hunger, okay, and Germany has grown past a system where if you don't have anything upstairs, you don't even vie for office. The stage we are in now is we are still in the primitive stage of material acquisition. One as blacks and the other as Africans. In this stage of primitive accumulation of wealth and material things, anyone who has different idea becomes a threat. Does it not bother you that even as we speak today, even within the South, that we speak, this is what we want, no, any opposing view or idea is either called sabo or called a traitor? No, that is not the way. It's just that sometimes this convolution of ideas eventually confuses people, but the way we were configured as an ancient people is that we reach resolutions via dialogue. Most things you see within the Kingsmen meeting is never voted for. People talk. You talk, I talk. This person talks, the other person talks. At the end of the day, the person who chairs the meeting will summarize and nobody argues. We never say, okay, let's vote on this issue now, because sometimes actually voting leads to confusion. Voting leads to, people not entirely being satisfied. And that is the way, that is the concept, which I believe probably if we loosen this federation that is suffocating everyone, that the Yoruba nation amongst them as Southwest decide we do not want cows, not even pigs, to go on the road, because by the time you ban cows, if you make it explicitly and you write in the law that is cow, not animal, that means somebody can actually hit his sheep and destroy somebody's farmland, because sheep can destroy farmland as well, even goats. So if that is done, that we began to be very smart about it, I believe we have probably a brighter future, because technology, and again, we are a virgin land, that technology and development can actually drive some of this madness away.
Yeah, something I would like to chip in about electoral violence, as I mentioned before. It's not normal for us in the South to have electoral violences. The reason why it do occur most of the times is because the people in the North, they have stooges, they have people they want to put in there, and they always want to put them by force, and they are always not the choice of the locals. If you are contesting for the election, you now, and I'm contesting, there will be no reason. I don't think you will try to instigate war against these electoral processes. You would like to have
somehow, somehow, my brother, I struggle. These are cliches repeated over and over and over, that people begin to believe it. Oh, someone is imposing you from the North. No. Listen. I'll tell you one thing.
Myself. I lived in the North for 4 years. I lived in Kano. It is true. Yes, there are people they don't want to have there, because if they have those people there, they will speak for the people.
Anyway.
And speaking for the people is dangerous for them. Imagine someone who is doing the right thing. Look at people met, governors that have the right to meet. They met, and it becomes a problem. Someone need to explain.
I wouldn't argue. Okay, I wouldn't argue this more, because it appears we are coming, or rather, you're coming from a position that is already made up. I'll give you this example, and that would be my concluding thought on this. Now, someone comes in to contest election, and he said that he's been sent by this person from the North. I found that a little bit somewhat insulting to the Southerners, as if they are all idiots and only being controlled. Having said that, doesn't mean that there are no cross-pollination of friendship where people could, from one side of the country, maybe wanting to interfere. I'll give you an example of, if you look at the Southeast, for instance, all the if I can tell you all the states in the southeast, their governors who is their godfather, and all of them, the godfathers that they had were all Igbos. So, and some of those elections, an example is when Dr. Chris Ngige and Desalne Nogoga with that Chris Oba, when they had their issue, Chris was his godfather. During the time of Mbadinuju, we know Mekofo was mentioned as godfather. I don't know if Mekofo is now. It's about interest and money. So these things that we keep, let's please, let's, if we don't take away anything this evening, let's understand that. Let's stop creating these imaginary super intelligent people from the north controlling idiots from the south. No, it's not. It's not the case.
No, it's not. It's not imaginary. That is the actual fact. One, if a governorship election is going on in Zamfara State, it doesn't interest much of people in the south. That is for obvious reasons. What is happening in Zamfara State? What is happening in Gombe? No one in the south wants to know who is governor of Gombe State. But once it comes to who is going to be the governor of
that's what you think.
People wake up.
I tell you now.
That's what it is.
No,
that's
it's not.
Who will be the governor of
it's not.
Akwa Ibom State?
No, it's not. It's not. My brother, let me tell you. Let me tell you.
If you don't align with them, you can have it.
Let me tell you.
Because there's no elections,
if you talk about, my brother, listen. If you talk about Gombe, if you talk about Plateau, if you talk about partly Adamawa and Taraba, if I basically talk about Northeast, I knew Igbos, especially Gombe that you mentioned, they are interested in who becomes the governor of that place, and they spend heavy money in that election.
For what reason, if I may ask?
Oh, I mean, for serious business people. There are some businesses I know that what is happening there, I won't say them off on air, but if you engage me privately, I can tell you more. So, we have interests that you don't know that these things happen doesn't mean it doesn't. You know why? Because in my state of Anambra, if you have 2 billion, you can't even, you're not even, it's chicken change for you to contest the governorship of that state. But 20% of it, the other way around, up north, will get you a governorship. Think about it. Now, who are those people you're going to spend those 2 billions on? Are you spending the billions on people from Kaduna or Kano or somebody from? No. It is still the problem. Our problem is we most times look onto others as the architect of our problem, whereas the greater part of our problem is us. And until we begin to look our because when we talk about the North, honestly, sometimes I don't necessarily care about what the North thinks. I care about what happens. And that's why I dedicate my life exposing what happens in the East. Because if you want to let your place burn, and I'm not interested because you won't see me there. I'm not going to live there. I'm not going to retire there. But this place that I want it to be peaceful, to be developed, the place I live, the place I know that I will retire in, I have every interest in knowing and in ensuring that the affairs within this place is well, that is very well. Amaka Neku, thank you very much for the super chat. So, my brother, thank you very much for your call. It's been a very fantastic time discussing with you. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Have a blessed.
Yeah. So, people, it is not the northern Mr. Maz is okay. Who? Listen, there are some conversations that are honestly, I think there are some level of things we need to understand. There are some level of things we need to understand. You cannot imagine your problem. Our problem in the South is mostly the people that govern us, right? Your local government chairman is your brother. Your local government chairman is your brother. No one controls him. Actually, if you think, he's more likely to be controlled by your governor, who is interested in the money that he is receiving, that he wants to take, and he wants to be part of it. At the end of the day, let's not deviate from the conversation. The conversation this evening remains this: Southern governors, Asaba declarations equals Aburi Accord. Again, I saw someone who disagreed before that this is not true, that it doesn't equal Aburi Accord. But this is nothing but a mere analogy used by Dr. Mike Ezekome San. That was his analogy, and he gave the reasons why. So if you want to really understand this conversation this evening, you might have to go back at the beginning and watch when we did that analysis. Okay, exactly. David Christie said our problem is our people and system. I agree. Our problem is our people and system. When people talk about maybe Islam is our problem, I also do not agree that Islam is our problem, because at the end of the day, when you talk about Qatar, they are Muslims. You talk about Dubai, they are Muslims. So it's not. We have a peculiar problem, and as long as we keep running away, from all these, confronting this issue. It's just like many of you say, "Oh, Maz, why should you talk against Jonathan?" I'm not interested in talking against or talking for. I am sticking for the facts. As if a man tells me I'm going to do this thing in 4 years, and after 4 years he didn't do it with no cogent reason, you want me to go shake him, right? To say he has done very well, for the oil was at its peak, then he couldn't do it. At the end of the day, if we're not willing to tell ourselves the truth, then we are not also willing to get to the point where we'll have our salvation and where we'll have our liberations. Qatar is Muslim only. Of course, they are a Muslim country, but again, they are Muslim only, but they are developing. So, does the argument mean that our own Muslims are not developing because the Christians are stopping them? You see, people, when it comes to stealing, there is no religion. They all want one thing, just to make sure that everyone remains underdeveloped. But again, we are not a people that must be held on for this long. I think on this note, I will thank you. Thank you very much for joining this conversation. This conversation must continue, because at the end of the day, we must help the governors to help us. They must insist that this, ban that they've done must stand. Casimir says there is Fulani and British cabal controlling what is happening in Nigeria and Biafra and using our people. That is a fact. Maz, you're not making sense this night. Well, it's your opinion. Opinion is free. I'm not here for you to agree with me all the time. Of course, we can always respectfully disagree with one another. Now, again, you probably do not understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that there are no influences, but it will be very idiotic and very stupid of us to keep blaming foreigners in what happens in our place. So if you think that the Fulanese are controlling what happens in our place, then we must be a very bunch of idiots that allow them to control us. I used a very simple example of a local government chairman and governors within the Southeast. If we have governors within the Southeast and we cannot really tame them, we cannot really get them to do what we want, and we are just banking that someone else is doing that, and the local government chairman that collects about 20% of the accruing revenues that is meant to be used to develop our local government areas. And we think that local government chairman is being controlled by the Fulanese or by any other person. On that note, I say I disagree. I honestly disagree. If it is if you push it that it is true, then I will now say that we are indeed very, very stupid. There is no two ways about that. That we are indeed very, very stupid for allowing someone to just control you as if we are not agreeing on these things. Honestly, I do a lot of interventions back end. I understand these things. There are things that I know that is happening, but again, I want us to focus, channel. Now is not time to fight here and there. We have eventually, it's just like when many of us that play music, you say, play me E, play me G, play me, you're telling your bassist, if a bass guitar is playing A, the lead guitar is playing key F, it's not going to work. But the moment you start playing the right chords, the music will begin to sound well. And the right chord to counter this narrative, the right chord to push our collective interest forward remains a southern front. A southern front. Anything less than a southern front, because you can agree. The moment you get a southern front, you can agree on other things later. The nomenclature of once you are in this entity, in this enclave, how do you want it to work? Then you can work at things collectively. But if you do not work as a collective, you work in discordant tune. A is singing from ancient and modern. B is singing from a Berenabo. C is singing from the modern hymn book. You are not going to get anywhere. At the end of the day, we've made no progress. On that note, I will say thank you very much for joining me in this broadcast. Join me once more next tomorrow on this platform, starting from 6 o'clock. I'll try to be making it much earlier, but sometimes why I do make it late is because many of you are in the diaspora, and many of you, especially those of you in Asia, if I start early, it might be in the time you're already on your gear 4, snoring and and sleeping, dreaming about the new nation and the new place that you and I can feel safe to live as humans and be respected as humans. On that note, I'll say good night, good morning, good evening, depending on where you're watching me from. Peace out.